When you find yourself alone, separated from the noise of the crowd, that is when the first signs of inner strength begin to surface. Solitude is often misunderstood as weakness, as if being by oneself is a sign that you have been left behind or forgotten. But solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is presence, full presence with oneself. In the quiet, you begin to hear the inner dialogue that is usually drowned by the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. You start to notice your thoughts, your fears, your hopes. In that space, without external interference, something incredible begins to form, self-awareness, and self-awareness is the foundation of strength. Many people search for strength in numbers, relying on support, validation, and companionship to feel secure. But when these things are stripped away, what remains? If your strength is dependent on the presence of others, it is fragile. If your confidence fades the moment you're alone, then it was not true confidence to begin with. It was borrowed. Inner strength, the kind that doesn't waver when you're tested, can only be forged when you stand alone. Because when there is no one else to carry you, no one else to blame, no one else to lean on, you either crumble or you rise. Solitude forces you to meet the raw, unpolished version of yourself. There is no mask to wear, no act to perform, no expectations to fulfill. There is only the truth, and it is within that truth that your power begins to grow. It is where you confront your weaknesses without denial, where you admit your fears without shame, and where you face your past without excuses. This confrontation is not easy. It can break you. But if you stay, if you choose to endure that internal storm, something within you begins to shift. You stop asking for the world to change, and you begin to change yourself. In solitude, discipline is no longer about routines imposed by others. It becomes a commitment you make to yourself, a decision that says, "I will continue even when no one is watching." This is how warriors are formed, not in battles surrounded by armies, but in the silence of their own hearts, where they wake up each day, train their body and mind, and hold themselves accountable with no audience to impress. They do it because it is right. They do it because their vision is not dependent on applause. They do it because strength is not something they perform, it is something they live. When you are alone, you begin to discover what truly matters to you. The noise of the world can distract you from your own values, your own calling, but in silence, clarity comes. You start to realize that many of the things you pursued were never yours to chase. The opinions you followed, the goals you set, the image you built, much of it was shaped by others. But now, with the world quiet, you can hear your own voice, and that voice is soft at first, but with attention it grows stronger. That voice becomes your compass. And when you start walking to the rhythm of that voice, you begin to live with integrity. There is a profound difference between appearing strong and being strong. Appearing strong may win admiration, but being strong allows you to endure when admiration fades. True strength is invisible. It is seen not in words, but in consistency. It is shown in how you show up when the world forgets your name. It is in how you treat others when you have nothing to gain. It is in how you keep going, even when the path offers no guarantee. Strength is the discipline to continue, to rise again, to speak your truth, to remain rooted not in ego, but in purpose. There will be times when solitude feels like a burden, when it weighs heavy and the silence echoes too loudly. But those are the moments of transformation. Pressure reveals the strength of what is inside. The deeper your roots, the taller you can grow, and those roots are not grown in shallow soil. They are cultivated in stillness, in silence, in solitude. A tree does not ask the forest for permission to grow tall. It reaches for the sun regardless of who stands beside it. You, too, must grow from your own center. You must learn to stand without support, to breathe deeply even when no one hears you, to believe in your worth even when the world remains silent. This strength that comes from solitude is not cold or detached. It is compassionate, because when you have truly sat with your own pain, your own doubts, your own darkness, you become more understanding of others. You stop judging. You stop needing to compete. You begin to serve. Not from emptiness, but from fullness. You give not to be seen, but because you have something real to give. Inner strength is quiet. It does not need to shout. It does not beg to be noticed. It moves with calm conviction. And that conviction is born from the fire you walk through alone. Let the crowd go. Let the noise fade. Let the silence teach you. In the end, you will realize solitude did not weaken you. It revealed the power that was already within you, waiting to be awakened. That power will never leave you because you earned it. There is a moment in every person's journey when the pull to fit in clashes with the quiet whisper to remain true. At first, it is easier to go with the crowd, to follow the path others have walked, to nod in agreement even when your heart is uneasy. But deep inside, something resists. Something inside you knows when your actions are not aligned with your truth. That resistance is the call of integrity, the signal that you are being pulled away from your inner compass. To ignore it is to lose yourself piece by piece. To honor it is to begin the difficult but necessary work of alignment with your purpose, even if it means walking alone. The need for approval is one of the deepest human instincts. We are social beings, wired to belong, to be seen, to be accepted. But when that need becomes the master, you begin to shape your life not around what is right, but around what is popular. You begin to compromise values for applause, truth for acceptance, and dreams for safety. Slowly, without realizing it, you drift away from your own center. And when the applause fades, when the approval changes or disappears, you are left standing in a life that is not truly yours. Alignment with purpose requires a level of courage that most people avoid. It means saying no when the world expects yes. It means standing still while others are rushing forward. It means letting go of comfort for the sake of authenticity. Purpose is not something that can be borrowed or imitated. It is discovered in the quiet hours, in the space where you stop pretending and start listening. It may not always be loud. It may not always be glamorous. But when you live in alignment, your actions, your decisions, your words, and your silence all begin to move in harmony. That harmony gives birth to peace, and that peace becomes your foundation. There are many people who will try to convince you that the path they walk is the only right one. Their voices may sound confident, their lives may seem impressive, but even the loudest voices can be lost. Even the most admired people can be deeply disconnected from their truth. You must not confuse noise with wisdom. What is right for others may not be right for you. The only way to know your path is to be still long enough to hear your own direction. When you begin to align with your purpose, you will feel it not as excitement or adrenaline, but as a quiet certainty, a calm strength that does not waver when tested. This alignment is not a one-time choice. It is a daily practice. Every day you will be tempted to drift, tempted by approval, by shortcuts, by fear. Every day you must choose again to return to your center. It is in the repetition of this choice that character is forged. It is easy to speak of values when life is easy, but real alignment shows itself when standing in truth costs you something: a relationship, an opportunity, a reputation. And yet, even in the loss, there is gain. Because every time you choose integrity, you strengthen your soul, and a strong soul cannot be shaken by the winds of the world. People often speak of success as the destination, but what is success without alignment? What is victory if it leaves you empty? A life built on misalignment may appear successful from the outside, but inside it feels hollow. You can achieve everything and still feel lost if you've lost yourself along the way. That is why the question must shift, not what will the world think, but does this honor who I truly am? And not will this make me look successful, but is this the path that fulfills my calling? That shift in question will change the direction of your life. The world does not need more people who follow. The world needs more people who lead from within. People who are not afraid to stand in their truth, even if their truth is inconvenient. People who do not bend their values for comfort. People who speak what they believe with compassion, but without compromise. These are the people who live with clarity. These are the people who become examples, not because they seek to be admired, but because they dare to be real. There is a quiet kind of power in walking alone when necessary. It is the power of someone who is no longer afraid to be misunderstood. Someone who no longer needs validation to know their worth. Someone who does not perform for attention, but lives with intention. That person carries a presence that cannot be faked, a calm that cannot be disturbed, a strength that does not depend on numbers. That kind of power is not loud. It does not dominate. It simply is grounded, steady, and true. You may lose some people when you begin to align with your purpose. You may lose opportunities, invitations, applause, but what you gain is far greater: self-respect, clarity, peace. You gain the ability to look in the mirror and know you did not betray yourself. You gain the kind of confidence that is not dependent on trends, opinions, or praise. You gain the ability to walk into any room and not need to shrink or exaggerate because you are rooted in something deeper than ego. You are rooted in truth. As you walk this path of alignment, remember that it is not always visible to others. Some may not understand. Some may even criticize. That is okay. You are not here to live their life. You are here to live yours, and if you stay true over time, even those who once doubted will begin to respect your steadiness. But even if they don't, it changes nothing, because purpose is not about being seen. It is about seeing clearly, and when you live with that kind of vision, you stop chasing light, you become it. Stand tall, even if you stand alone, because if you are standing in truth, you are never truly alone. There is a kind of power that doesn't need to shout, a strength that doesn't demand to be seen or validated. This power is born in stillness and cultivated through discipline. In a world that moves fast, that rewards speed and noise, stillness is often mistaken for weakness. But it is in stillness that we learn to listen, to observe, to understand not just the world outside, but the world within. When you stop chasing and start standing still, you begin to see more clearly. You begin to hear the quiet truth that noise always tries to drown. Stillness gives you access to something deeper than reaction. It gives you access to clarity, control, and calm. Discipline is the partner of stillness. It is not punishment. It is not restriction. Discipline is the daily decision to live by your values even when it's uncomfortable. It is the commitment to practice, to grow, to show up even when there is no applause, no recognition, no immediate reward. When you wake up every day and make the bed, train the body, sharpen the mind, and speak with kindness, even when no one is watching, that is discipline. That is what builds unshakable confidence, not the kind that says, "I hope they like me," but the kind that says, "I know who I am." In stillness, you come face to face with your fears. There is nowhere to hide. There is no busyness to distract you. And yet, it is in that space that you realize fear has no substance unless you give it power. You learn to sit with discomfort, to observe it, to breathe through it. With every breath, you loosen its grip. With every moment of silence, you reclaim your control. This process is not quick. It is not easy. But it is real, and what is real lasts. The strength gained from stillness is not temporary. It becomes part of your character. Discipline teaches you to stay when others walk away. It teaches you to keep moving forward, step by step, when the path is long and the reward is far. In discipline, there is no drama, only dedication. There is no spectacle, only focus. The world may not understand it. They may question your pace, your silence, your choices, but discipline does not need explanation. It needs consistency, and that consistency over time creates transformation. What once felt impossible becomes natural. What once required force becomes fluid, and in that rhythm you discover a new kind of freedom, the freedom that comes from being in control of yourself. Confidence does not come from what you own or how others perceive you. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will respond with strength. That kind of confidence is earned. You cannot fake it. You cannot buy it. It is built slowly, patiently, through quiet repetition. Each morning you rise early. Each time you choose honesty over ease. Each time you hold your ground when it would be easier to please you, are strengthening that foundation. When life tests you, you will not need to search for courage. It will already be inside you, practiced and ready. Stillness is not avoidance. It is presence. It is the decision to meet life fully, without running, without distraction. When you sit in stillness, you feel everything: joy, pain, hope, sadness. You do not resist them, you welcome them. You allow them to teach you, to shape you, to leave their lessons behind, and through it all, you remain centered. That centeredness is your power. The storms may come, but you are no longer swayed, not because the storm is weak, but because you are grounded. This is not the result of one decision. It is the outcome of many small, quiet choices made over time. Discipline is not about perfection. You will stumble, you will feel tired, you will want to give up, but every time you return, every time you recommit, you grow stronger. The path of discipline is not straight. It is not always forward, but it is always honest. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your own word. That self-trust is more powerful than any external validation. When you know you can rely on yourself, you become unstoppable. Not because everything goes right, but because nothing can take away your will to rise again. Confidence is the byproduct of a life lived with intention. It is the quiet knowing that you are becoming who you were meant to be. It is not loud or boastful. It is a soft presence that fills the space without force. Others may not understand it, but they will feel it, because true confidence is magnetic. It does not need attention, it commands respect. That respect starts with how you treat yourself. When you live with discipline, when you embrace stillness, you are telling yourself every day that you are worthy of care, of effort, of growth, and that message becomes embedded in your being. Stillness sharpens awareness. You begin to notice things others miss: the tone behind words, the emotions beneath behavior, the patterns in your own mind. This awareness gives you choice. Instead of reacting blindly, you respond wisely. You begin to act from wisdom, not impulse. That is where leadership begins, not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. The more stillness and discipline you bring into your life, the more balanced you become. You are no longer driven by fear or craving. You are directed by purpose, and that purpose gives every action meaning. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to shout to be heard. Let your life speak. Let your calm be louder than chaos. Let your consistency be stronger than applause. Every day you choose stillness, you are choosing clarity. Every day you choose discipline, you are choosing growth. And with each choice, your confidence becomes unshakable, not because the world agrees with you, but because you are no longer controlled by it. You have returned to yourself. You have found your ground. And from that place, you can rise tall, clear, steady, even if you rise alone. The path of truth is not crowded. It is narrow, quiet, and often walked alone. In a world that praises conformity and rewards those who follow the expected way, choosing truth is an act of courage. It is not always comfortable. It is not always praised. In fact, the first step onto the path of truth can feel like a step away from everyone else. It can bring isolation, misunderstanding, and even rejection. But despite all this, the path of truth is the only path that leads to inner peace, to deep fulfillment, and to a life that means something beyond appearances. Truth does not need to be defended with noise. It stands on its own, even in silence, and yet, standing in truth is rarely easy. It may require you to walk away from what is familiar. It may force you to say no when everyone else says yes. It may call you to confront things you've long avoided within others, but more importantly, within yourself. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but necessary, because truth does not exist to make you feel good. It exists to set you free, and freedom always comes with a price. The willingness to be different, to stand alone if you must, to walk with nothing but integrity as your companion. The beginning of walking in truth often feels like loss. You may lose friendships that were built on convenience rather than honesty. You may lose opportunities that required you to remain silent about things that matter. You may lose approval, admiration, and even affection from people who prefer comfort over authenticity. But these are not real losses. They are revelations. They reveal who and what truly belongs with you on your journey, and in their place, you begin to gain something much greater: clarity, self-respect, and a solid foundation that cannot be shaken by outside opinion. Truth is not about being right, it's about being real. There's a difference. Being right can become an ego game, but being real requires humility. It means admitting when you are wrong. It means acknowledging your flaws, your blind spots, your past mistakes. It means holding yourself accountable with the same honesty you expect from others. This level of truth is uncomfortable because it strips away the masks, but it is in this stripping that you find what's real. And once you've touched what's real, you can no longer settle for anything less. Standing in truth requires strength, not because the truth is weak, but because the world often resists it. Lies are easier to accept. They're softer, more convenient. They fit better into the stories people want to believe. But lies, no matter how beautiful, are fragile. They eventually collapse. Truth, no matter how hard, endures. And when you align yourself with what endures, you become steady even when the world shakes. This steadiness is not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to ask the right questions and the honesty to face whatever answers arise. The more you walk in truth, the more you will realize that not everyone is ready for it. Some people are deeply committed to their illusions. They will resist your honesty. They will try to change you, silence you, or make you feel wrong for seeing clearly. Do not take it personally. It is not about you. It is about their fear. Truth threatens comfort. It exposes what's hidden, and not everyone is ready to be exposed. But your responsibility is not to manage their comfort, it is to remain true to your path. There will be times when you will feel the weight of this path, times when you will wonder if it would be easier to go back, to blend in, to speak less, to care less. But you must remember why you began. You must remember that truth, while heavy, is also light. It clears the mind, it purifies the heart, it aligns your actions with your soul. That alignment brings peace, the kind that cannot be faked. When you lie down at night, you know you lived honestly. That peace is not loud, but it is deep. It holds you when everything else falls away. When you choose to walk in truth, you become a mirror. Others will see themselves more clearly in your presence, and not all will like what they see. Some will be drawn to your authenticity, others will be threatened by it, but your task is not to control their reactions. Your task is to stay rooted, to keep showing up with integrity, even when it's hard, to keep speaking what's real, even when your voice shakes, to keep walking, even when the road narrows and no one walks beside you. The path of truth is the path of leaders, healers, and change-makers. It has never been the popular road, but it is the road that shapes you. It tests your character, sharpens your clarity, and deepens your compassion. Because when you live honestly, you begin to understand others more honestly too. You stop judging as quickly, you start seeing beneath the surface, you begin to recognize the pain that drives people to pretend, to hide, to run, and in that recognition you respond not with superiority, but with empathy. Truth does not make you hard, it makes you human. To stand tall, even if you stand alone, is to honor truth above comfort, purpose above popularity, and soul above strategy. It is to know that sometimes the right choice is the lonely one. But you make it anyway, because you are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to live fully, to love deeply, and to leave behind something that matters. And nothing meaningful was ever built on lies. Everything real begins with truth. You may not always see the results of your truth immediately. The world may take time to catch up, but do not be discouraged. Truth is never wasted. Every honest word, every courageous act, every quiet moment of integrity plants a seed. And those seeds grow in ways you cannot always see, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually they take root, they blossom, they bear fruit, not just for you, but for those who come after you. So walk the path, let it shape you, let it test you, let it refine you, and when the moment comes to stand, even if you are the only one standing, do not shrink, do not turn away, hold your ground, not with anger, not with pride, but with quiet strength. Because you know what you are standing for, and because you know that even if you walk alone, you are not lost, you are just walking ahead,